All right, today I'm going to be using three different colors and white. That's a bright yellow, a ultramarine blue, and then a reddish brown called burnt umber. And here's all the different brushes I'm using. This is oil paint, so you can see how messy all my brushes are. I try to keep them clean as I can, but inevitably they're pretty frayed. So actually on this, I'm using a pretty ratty brush, which I kind of prefer because it keeps me from doing too much detail. So first I start with some thinned out oil paint. This is with oil paint thinner or paint thinner. A little toxic, but a little goes a long way. And I put that light blue and now the light green in. I decided to start with these light colors because they're the furthest back, and I knew that everything was going to be in front of them, the trees and whatnot. So I started with all this light green, light blue, and you can see me now putting hints of darker green in to kind of complicate the matter there. There's a path running down the center, so I've doled out the color with a little bit of that brownish red color mixed in with the green to make a gray. And you'll see me working with the brush and then taking a paper towel as well and wiping off the paint back and forth. Here are the trees. This is pretty much completely that burnt umber color without much else mixed in. I wanted a pretty bright, not bright red, but I wanted a saturated brown red. So that's why I went with that one. Just drawing trees as straight as I can. Now putting in a little bit of the dirt that's around the path. It's all got this reddish tint to it because of the red bark of these trees. This is a arboretum outside of Portland called the Hoyt Arboretum. And it's a photo that my friend took that I'm basing it off of. You can sort of see in the bottom left corner my iPad with the picture that I'm following. So I've added in the darks, some black, anywhere I see it on the picture, which is mainly the underside of the brush and the plants there. And I'm adding it to the left side of each of these trees as well. That's the shaded side because the sun's coming from the right. That's why all the bright colors are on the right and all the dark colors on the left. That was one of the things that drew me to this photo in the first place, was the really nice dynamic light. Dynamic means that it's interesting and different. So this is after the first night of painting. Here I go, some more. And I'm starting to add more leaves into the trees, even adding them into the distant trees, but making sure that the distant ones are nice and light and a little bit grayed out, because I don't want them to pop forward as much as those bright green ones that are in the closer trees. And I've actually put some, in that last section, put some oil thinner on my brush, and now I'm using a paper towel to wipe off some of the lightest areas, because the canvas is white. So if I wipe off paint, that's the joy of oil paints, it'll show the white through again, and I can kind of recover some of the brighter areas when maybe I went a little bit too dark on them. While I'm also doing the same to the right sides of the trees. Now it's all starting to get a nice depth to it. So here I go again with some more darks into the leaves. It's sort of a push-pull type thing happening where I'm pushing the dark colors and then I'm pulling up the paint with the paper towel, making it brighter, and then I kind of fix it by going dark again and then bright again. Because I have this ratty brush, it was pretty easy to get this wood texture on the trees just by lightly pulling up the black paint so that it doesn't totally cover. It's just some of the hairs get caught and it makes almost a really nice wood texture. Now I'm adding the darks into the trees in the distance. Really looking at my picture back and forth to make sure that I have a nice amount of really dark colors and a nice amount of bright colors. Because the more, like I said, dynamic, or the more different the lightest light and the darkest dark are, the more contrast and realism your painting will have. So that's one thing when you're painting you can really use, is look not just for what colors you're using, but how dark or bright are they? Are they all about the same brightness and darkness? Maybe you should brighten one up with adding white or wiping it away. Or maybe you should add black and darken. Or add some dark brown or dark green or something. It's starting to really come to life now, I think, and get a three-dimensional quality to it. I try several different things with these foreground leaves, and I kept kind of not really liking how they're looking. So you'll see me passing through several times of wiping off. Here I am again with the paper towel, wiping once more the leaves and those bushes in the front right. Each time I do this, I'm returning back to the same brightness, but everything around it is getting more and more complicated, and everything's getting a little bit more interesting to look at. So that's really the key to, at least for me, this type of painting, is just to create lots of interest. If I just painted these brushes once, I wouldn't get all the layers and the scrapey effects and all the texture that I do when I make so much adjustments. So in that way, messing up is actually a good thing, because it forces you to fix it over and over so that it creates interest and it's not just a clean looking thing. I set out doing this knowing that I wanted a certain look of scribbliness and a little bit of blurriness, just because there was so much brightness. Here I am removing the tape around the border that I put in the beginning. Here's what it was. I ended up actually painting a black outline and spending one more night painting this. So here's the final product. I'm pretty proud of it. I signed it on the bottom right. Again, this is the Hoyt Arboretum in Portland, done in oil paint. It's 14 by 18 inches. And yeah, that's that. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you learned something too. All right. Till next time, Michael out.